to Open Side. I'm your host, Megan Tormey, and each episode we will talk about different topics with different players from the Western Ultimate League. The Western Ultimate League, for the uninitiated, is a professional ultimate league featuring 6 teams from the West and Southwest: the Arizona Sidewinders, the Los Angeles Astra, the San Diego Superbloom, the San Francisco Falcons, the Seattle Tempest, and the Utah Wild. The Western Ultimate League was established to advance the sport of ultimate and showcase and amplify women and non-binary athletes. But unfortunately, the pandemic ended the inaugural season in 2020. There has been so much exciting work to get this league ready to go, and there is still so much exciting work going on. So tonight's first topic, we are discussing preparing for professional ultimate. And here to talk with us about their personal journey towards professional ultimate, I am joined by Cody Lippincott from the Arizona Sidewinders, Stephanie Lim from Seattle Tempest, and Zoe Tesler from San Diego Superbloom. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Megan.
So to start things off, I want to talk about the experiences that you had when you first began playing the sport of ultimate. And if we're going back, then we have to go all the way back to the beginning. And Cody, we must start with you. You probably have the earliest exposure to the sport of ultimate, but that is not when you began playing. So walk us through when you first began playing ultimate.
Yes, absolutely. So I come from an ultimate family. My father, his name is Byron Lippincott. He has been playing ultimate for a very, very long time, even since before I was born, back to his college days. And when he first moved to Phoenix, he was involved in running tournaments, in running league, kind of setting the stage for Phoenix Ultimate as we know it today, and expanding across Arizona as well, which is super exciting. So I have very fond memories of being on the sidelines while my dad played league or in tournaments and just traveling around for Frisbee. And we have lots and lots of family friends who are involved in Frisbee as well, which makes it a lot of fun. So very early days. But as you mentioned, that didn't immediately translate into me picking up ultimate when I was very young. So I suppose when I first started playing League, I was 16 years old. I was right in the middle of what I thought was a blossoming and long-standing soccer career. So my dad actually convinced me to sign up as his baggage for our Phoenix League that we have here in town. And I didn't like it very much, which is really silly to say now that I've been playing Ultimate for so long. So 16-year-old me was much more focused on playing soccer and running track than to, try a new sport or be not so good at a sport that I hadn't played before. So didn't last too long. I ended up going through high school and then through college without playing as well. And then right when I graduated from college, my dad and then a few of close friends who also played Ultimate at the time convinced me again to try out and come and join League. So really glad I did, because that time I was 21 years old, just out of Arizona State, and it stuck. So played in that league in the fall of 2011 and have literally not stopped playing since. So it's been a fun journey.
Yeah, your dad has to be so satisfied that his persistence finally paid off.
Yes, yeah, it finally stuck. And now I get to pick him as my baggage in League too, which is fun.
And I'm sure he's honored, right? After all this time. Zoe, I want to chat with you about some of your earlier experiences. You've had a lot of interesting times being a part of programs that were building and developing. And I want to talk a little bit about your time on Hot Saucers at Hamilton College, because your second year, your team made nationals. It was D3 school, the first time that your team had made nationals. What was it like to be on a small program with a small team? You only had 12 individuals that were committed to helping your team do something it had not yet accomplished before.
Yeah, my origin story is a little bit unusual as well, I would say. I grew up in Amherst, Massachusetts, which is a quite well-known town in the Ultimate community, but I did not play in high school, even though the high school Ultimate team in Amherst is quite large. The program is very developed. And I had my study hall teacher, it was actually Tina Booth, also a very well-known figure in Ultimate Frisbee. But at the time, I didn't really know who she was and how much of an impact she's made in Ultimate. So growing up, I definitely was exposed to Ultimate a lot, but I wasn't actually a part of it until I got to college. In high school, I was busy doing art and band. So when I went to college, it was basically the best time to start something new. And growing up around Ultimate Frisbee, but not having tried it, it seemed like a logical thing to try. So I went to the tryouts and met a lot of fun, cool people and just stuck with it. And the program at Hamilton College was very small in 2012 when I was a freshman. We did consistently only send maybe 10 to 13 players to every tournament that we played in. So we had to be obviously very committed in order to field a team at all. And so I came in with zero Ultimate experience, and over the years that I was there, I learned from my upperclassmen and became a co-captain my junior and senior year and helped foster the growth of the younger players as well. So yeah, I was a very happy player in such a small program, and I'm very happy to see how much it has grown over the course of the time that I was there. By the end of my senior year, the team had grown to about 25 players, and now I think it has reached about 40, just in the women's team.
And while you were in the season where you were building towards nationals, what were some of the tenets that your team was enacting to make sure that you were dedicated and focused enough to actualize your goal?
Yeah, so in college, Ultimate, every single year is so volatile because you don't know who the incoming freshmen are and how much, if at all, any Ultimate experience they might have. So the big focus in our team that year was really closing the skill gap between the most seasoned player and the newest players. So we did a lot to kind of work on fundamental skills as a D3 team in such a small new program to really get everybody on the same page and comfortable with what on the field.
Now, Stephanie, I find your Ultimate resume incredibly elite. You've had a lot of really great experiences, but what I want to highlight from your early days in Ultimate is your experience on the U24 team. In 2015, you had been playing Ultimate just 3 years. You tried out and made the U24 team and represented the United States on the women's team in London. What was that experience like, trying out for the team, coalescing as a team, and then actually competing in London?
Yeah, playing on the U23 was an amazing experience. At that time, I had been playing college Ultimate. I had been playing with Nightlock and the women's club team in the Bay Area. At that point, I was looking for other opportunities to play. I didn't think that I could make the U23 team at the time, but I really wanted to get better. I really wanted to play in competitive moments and play with a whole bunch of other players across different teams, different colleges. I think that was really exciting for me. We had a 1-week training camp before the tournament, and got really close as a team, practiced a lot. It was, we played a lot of Ultimate and hung out, and it was a good time. It was really, really awesome and fun to hear other people's Ultimate experiences. I think I had my view from Stanford Superfly, but seeing how, Oregon played, Carleton, UW, it was really awesome to learn from their experience also, and then figure out how to problem solve with them, and it was a really, really great experience.
So fast forwarding, you ladies have all played on various club teams, have had multiple experiences in that regard, and now enters professional Ultimate on the Ultimate scene, and it is dramatically different in a number of different ways. There are timed quarters. It is refereed, and most notably, it is played in a stadium in front of fans, and it is very often streamed, which adds a higher level of excitement, but also a higher level of stress. And I know you have all had a little bit of experience in various professional formats. And Cody and Zoe, I'd like to start with you first, talking about your time on Wolfpack, which was part of West Coast Ultimate, and it was a 1-year experience, and you both played on that. Zoe, talk to me a little bit about how that program came about, and what your reactions were when you played with Wolfpack.
During my time here that I've moved to San Diego from the East Coast, I've been kind of loosely aware and following the AUDL and their gameplay, and I was always really impressed and jealous that they could play on such a national scene. And so when the AUDL San Diego Growlers founders, Will and Justin, decided to put on a showcase series for women in Ultimate, I was super stoked and just wanted to be a part of that however I could. The San Diego Wolfpack team was a combination between San Diego and Arizona players. And when they reached out about tryouts to various teams in San Diego, I went immediately.
And Cody, what was the deciding factor for you to become involved with Wolfpack? What kind of experience were you looking for, and what was it like when you began playing with them?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So definitely receiving mysterious email from, I believe, Will at the time, sitting in my inbox, kind of this thing that I didn't really know much about. I wish I was more plugged into SoCal high-level Ultimate than I was at the time, but had received this email, and same day, maybe half an hour after receiving the email, got a phone call from my very, very good Ultimate Frisbee friend and fellow club player, Erin Donahue. She gave me a call and said, did you get this email? And I'm like, yes, I have not read it yet, but what is it? Tell me about it. And so she and I had a long conversation about this opportunity. Again, we didn't know much about it, but basically the gist of the email was, hey, come out to California. We have this series of showcase games, and it's an opportunity to put women from both San Diego and around the state of Arizona on the map in terms of, the West Side version of professional women's ultimate that we had already seen on the East Coast. So definitely, same as Zoe, immediately after having that one conversation with a good friend who was also super excited about the opportunity, was completely sold. And it was no question of us driving to California or having pod practices in Arizona so that the portion of the team that was stationed in Arizona could at least get some semblance of team chemistry together before we shipped off to California, right? So definitely had no doubt in my mind after that initial phone call about the fact that I had this opportunity to go play and that it was going to be streamed and in stadiums with fans. I could bring my mom out to California and she could come watch. So that excitement was a huge pull, and I didn't really need much else of a push. So.
And Cody, you had kind of an interesting experience with fans purchasing your jersey. Tell us about what that was like to be able to have your family and friends cheer for you as a professional athlete.
Yeah, it is pretty much the coolest thing that has ever happened to me in terms of me playing Ultimate. But the first Wolfpack game, my dad actually came out with me, and it was the same weekend that I turned 29. So it was my birthday weekend. He made the drive out there with me, and on his way into the stadium, we were already in there warming up, but on his way into the stadium, he purchased a jersey with my number on it. And little did I know, he also created a sign that he could hold up that said happy birthday number 55, and made sure to go down in the front of the row and get himself on the live stream holding the sign, wearing my jersey during the game, which was really, really cool. So definitely a very fun birthday weekend for me.
I have to think your father begging you to play Ultimate when you're 16 years old. Never in his wildest dreams did he imagine that he would be wearing your jersey cheering for you on your birthday. So that's a pretty cool moment, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yes.
Stephanie, you also have experience with the professional setting. You played for Seattle Cascades. Tell us a little bit about what drove you to try out for the professional team in Seattle, what experience you were looking for, and what it was like.
Yeah, definitely. So for me, I think there's part of me that I didn't grow up with Ultimate. I used to be a swimmer. I didn't know anything about Ultimate until college, and I always felt behind other Ultimate players who had all these amazing experiences. So I always wanted to be the best that I could, and I was looking for any opportunity to play at the highest level. I had this teammate, Carolyn Finney. She told me about how she had practiced with the men's B team in order to get better, and I was like, all right, let's go for it. Let's try to play, whatever level I can play to push myself out of my comfort zone and be the best that I could be. So for me, it was really about looking for opportunities to play in big moments. Something that was important for me is being able to play with different people and not just one team. I think personally, I grow a lot from learning from other people, learning different play styles, and this Cascades was a really awesome opportunity to play with a whole range of different people and skill sets. And yeah, I was super lucky to have the opportunity to play with the Seattle Cascades. It was super fun playing in showcase games in Seattle, being to invite friends and family, and then also being able to travel with the team. Yeah, I feel super lucky to have the opportunity, and it was a really good experience for me, and I think I grew a lot from it.
So everyone is just waiting in the wings for these games to actually occur, and you three are in a unique position. You've played in a professional format before, but you're about to be joined by teammates who don't necessarily have a similar experience. Stephanie, what do you think some of the adjustments are that your teammates will have to make from going to play in a tournament format to single game format, non-streamed or non-refereed games to streamed games and refereed games?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of focus put on one game instead of playing 6, 7, 8 games throughout a tournament weekend. A tournament weekend, it's a lot more endurance, working throughout all 8 games throughout a weekend, and with a one game format, you get to show up, you get to compete. Like, there's nothing to hold back for. There's nothing to wait around or get into pool play. Like, that's the game, that's the moment. And for me, I think I show up to practice kind of with that attitude. Like, how do I practice with the attitude that I'm showing up in, like, the game to go. I'm showing up to play that universe point. And I think that's an adjustment that some teammates might have to make coming from a long weekend tournament setting where you're working up towards something versus just showing up and bam, you're ready to compete.
Cody, I know you had some thoughts too on that mental preparation aspect for that one game. What would be things that you would tell your teammates as you prepare for this single game format?
Yes, I think for me personally, the mental piece of preparing for that single game that you've been looking forward to for, weeks or months or at this point even years, there's definitely a very different mental preparation that I would have to go to and would be interested to see how my teammates would adjust to as well. So definitely similar to what Steph was saying, the ability to sort of switch your mental toughness on so intensely for a single game versus an entire weekend. That's obviously one big piece of it. And I think the other big piece of it, again, for me, has been the fact that the goal of being there, the goal of being out there on the field is super different, right? It's no longer about wanting to come away with a win or wanting to get out of pool play seated higher than the other team. It's now about 1,000 other things. It's about the people in the stands. It's about the people who are watching. It's about, growing the organization. It's about putting not just my team, but the other team on a stage where they can be appreciated and recognized for all of the hard work that goes into being there, just simply stepping onto the field. So that is super overwhelming the first time that you walk into the stadium and cleat up for a game like that. So it happened in Wolfpack, and I can't imagine that it won't happen for Sidewinders as well.
So the league has yet to play any games, but all three of you are a little bit familiar with some of the changes that will occur on field in the WUL. How will you have to adjust your on-field play to accommodate the WUL rules, and how do you think that will improve the overall watchability of this sport? And Zoe, I'll start with you.
Sure. First of all, the stall count is going to be to 7 instead of 10 seconds in club. And that'll force players to speed up their movement on the field and ask for a strong team chemistry. And as the game progresses, I think overall on average a little faster than during Club Ultimate. I think that will improve watchability or increase the number of exciting plays on the field for the audience.
And Cody, what are some of the adjustments you'll have to make to your game based on the format of the WUL, and how do you think you and your teammates will handle those changes?
So to Zoe's point, I think something that comes paired along with an increase in watchability is definitely the requirement for higher team cohesion, efficiency, faster play, moving the disc a lot faster. So that's going to be, I think, another thing that teams in the WUL will have to really, really focus on when we start to begin preparing for our first season. So while the rule set is kind of in its experimental phase and we're testing out new things, it's going to be really exciting to understand what is going to add to that watchability and what fans are really, really going to react to, and maybe on the flip side too. So we're in an interesting situation and an exciting place where we can play around with those.
I think one of the understated changes in the professional format are the timed quarters, because it then sets up Ultimate to experience end of quarter situations, which is not something you experience in the club format. Stephanie, you've played timed quarters. What were the changes that you recognized to the game, and what spiciness does that add, do you think?
Definitely. Time quarters kind of makes the game feel like two games in a sense. You kind of have the first quarter, the second quarter, and then there's a pause in there. And really anything can happen in that in-between time, because when you come around to third quarter, your team could be in a different mindset, their team could be in a different mindset. So to me, it does kind of feel like two games. You have like a first half and a second half, and I think it puts some excitement and pressure around the end of each quarter with the time countdown. And it's really interesting to try to practice for those time countdowns. There's time countdowns 4 times in a game. And in practice, we are practicing, hey, what do we do if we have 30 seconds left? How do we make the most of this opportunity? How do we set ourselves up for success? So I think that's really something that's a learned skill for this new format. In addition, from my experience, I think we'll need to have patience with ourselves for the new rules, for the new stall counts, for whistle blows. I know for me, experiencing them, I definitely had some flustered moments of, oh shoot, I might have forgotten what the rules were, but being patient with myself and just listening to the referee to know what I'm supposed to do, I think all teams will probably have to have patience with themselves.
I was going to just touch on the point of the addition of the referees also improves watchability, just because the time in between calls is going to be shortened immensely. So instead of waiting for people to figure out whether you're in or out and argue about who had best perspective, the ref will just move the game along and everyone will continue watching the game at real time. So that'll be really exciting for, I think, the audience.
What do you think it means for the future of this sport, knowing that there is now a space for women and non-binary athletes to play in a professional setting, as opposed to having to choose men's professional leagues to try and have that kind of experience?
I'm thinking about how to phrase it or what's helpful. Like, what comes to mind is yeah, I wanted to play frisbee, and that was the only opportunity. So I tried, and there were a couple other women, so I was like, okay, sure, I'll try. And then I was given the opportunity, and I loved it, and it was really hard at the same time. Like it was really hard. There was a lot of pressure on my shoulders. There is a lot of internal self-talk, and I think this opportunity to play women's at a high level in a professional setting with a showcase stadium is a huge opportunity for all women and for us to be able to showcase our strengths with each other.
Maybe my only other thought was just kind of my mind sort of went to other sports where women are constantly fighting for the leveling of the playing field, right? We can see this in the media, in the news, all over the country, all over the world right now, which is it's equal parts intense and frustrating, and again, just sort of leads to the opportunity of us to also make noise at the same time, right? And I think that's a really cool opportunity. So my mind goes to other sports, kind of in the same vein as what we're trying to accomplish with the WUL as well.
I think the one other thought that I had was that I did watch a number of games in the PUL during their inaugural season, and that was all mostly on the East Coast and not available to us on the West Coast. And so the opportunity to play at a professional level did not exist until the series, and would not exist after the series expired. And so that definitely sparked the fire under our butts to maintain that opportunity on the West Coast.
And this question I'm going to pitch to all of you. What does it mean to you to have this space, the Western Ultimate League, for you to be able to step onto the field, showcase your talents, and also showcase the talent of your opponent? Zoe, I'll start with you. You've done so much work to, like I said, to help develop San Diego Super Bloom. What will it mean for you when you are finally able to take the field?
I think it will mean a lot to me to showcase Women's Ultimate to people within San Diego and also across the nation who are tuning in. I think one of the biggest advantages of having all our games streamed is that you can invite friends and family who don't live in the same city as you or even in the same country to tune in and experience your love for Ultimate. And having this platform available for women and not just men in professional Ultimate is super empowering. And it's really important to show young kids that they can attain this level of play as well as men.
And Stephanie, what about you? What will it mean for you to be able to take the field with Seattle Tempest for the first time?
Yeah, I think for me, I really want to show other young girls that they can be athletes too. I think I've struggled with imposter syndrome, and I've really had to ground myself in why I play. I play because it's fun. I like to compete. I like to show it with my teammates. I like to push myself to be the best. And I think being out there and doing that for them and having other people see and potentially think that, hey, that can be me one day, I think that's really exciting.
And what about you, Cody? What will it mean to take the field with the Arizona Sidewinders for the first time?
Yeah, similar to what both Zoe and Steph have touched on already. My first thought goes to some of the women that I coach in the college scene. A couple of them bought my jersey last year, and of course we weren't able to give them any games, but it is so cool going out to practice, and even just at practice seeing them wear my jersey and talking with them about pro and about setting goals within their ultimate career to grow, not just in, the 2 or 3 or 4 years that they're playing college, but to go in and flow into club that is being developed in Arizona as well, and then even flow into and have another opportunity one step above or to the side of club. It's super cool. I think that's the biggest thing for me, is just knowing that we're giving an opportunity and visibility to the sport for young women. It's the best thing.
Thanks for joining us for Openside. For Zoe Tesler, Steph Lim, and Cody Lippincott, I'm Megan Tormey saying thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.